TV 18. We're chatting with Frank Pilkington, talking Winter Park and all that kind of stuff. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, it's fun to be here. It's a great time to talk about history because Winter Park has a lot.
They do, celebrating 75 years
right.
this year. How long have you been skiing the resort?
Oh gosh, more than 45.
Okay.
I don't want to tell you how many because it's a lot, but it's it's expanded so well, and there's a lot of improvements, and that's why I need to update my book and make a new edition because there's a lot of new improvements too. Yeah.
When you first started skiing, you started skiing with Eskimos, which is still around today.
Yeah.
What part of the area was there? Like, what part did you hang out on? There's so much to the map these days.
Well, Mary Jane wasn't there yet,
okay.
or the Parson, or Cirque, Eaglewind. So there's been so much expansion.
Right.
I mean, gosh. To me, Balcony House seemed like a palace, built in 1955, and it cost them just $150,000 to build that building.
Oh my gosh.
Well, today, the new Lunch Rock is more than $8 million.
Right.
So that's a difference in the increased inflation, I guess. But it's amazing that IntraWest is doing a good job improving the area. We've got the Eaglewind lift and the panoramic lift, the super gauge. All of these are things the city of Denver couldn't afford to do.
Right.
I mean, the last money the city of Denver gave to the ski area was in 1950 when they were just barely making it, and they had to keep the safety up, so they spent about $70,000. After 1950, everything in the area was from private donors and money that was raised independently by the Board of Recreation. So, Denver is lucky to have their foot in the door.
They are.
Yeah, that's right.
Why did Denver build a ski area?
Oh my. I think the credit goes to George Cranmer because he built Red Rocks as well. In a travel to Italy, he saw the foresight of being a big amphitheater, but he was such a dreamer. And he wasn't very popular, but he sure could get things done. And he always dreamed of having a playground for the kids of Denver. And he was a big ice skater himself, but he was looking for people that were big skiers, younger than he was, that could start a mountain. And at that time, a lot of people were, when the train came over in 1904, over the Moffett Road, that's when people really first started coming here. And gosh, a man named C.W. Fowler got the Mary Jane Placer claim in 1904. And after mining it for a little while, he realized there wasn't any gold there. So he sold the claim to Sadie Fleming and her brothers, who started a lumber company on that 160-acre plot. And lumber was in demand because they needed it for snow sheds on the Moffett Road and tunnels, trestles, different protection for the train. And when the acreage was lumbered out, they sold it to a man named Graham McGowan in about 1932. And McGowan wanted to start a business called Paradise, where he could sell real estate and skiing, a combination of two together. Imagine that ever happening, But Graham McGowan hooked up with some early Arlberg members who kind of rented the land from Graham McGowan and then later bought it from him. So the Arlberg Club was bringing a lot of skiers up here on the ski train because the train came through the tunnel in 1928, and there was a stop here for skiers at that point. And when they'd come up for weekends, they enjoyed skiing on the Mary Jane Trail, which was the old sheep highway. That's the nickname when the Forest Service put that in. And they, sheep would graze over the pass coming from the Blue River over by Silverthorne. And they'd graze there in the summertime. And actually, they grazed there until about 1940 when the Denver Water Department didn't want them contaminating their water anymore. But the Arlbergers used that old sheep highway to ski on. And that's kind of how the Mary Jane Trail became one of the oldest and original ski trails in the state of Colorado.
And that leads right to where they are located.
Right at the Mary Jane base today, where club car is.
Aren't they lucky?
Yeah, they are. Well, Cramner saw a piece of land in Partial that was donated to Denver. It was about 100 acres.
Okay.
And he said, you know, Denver doesn't need that land down by Partial.
Right.
So let's trade land there for land next to where the Arlberg Club is with the Forest Service. And the Forest Service was interested in increasing their revenue by bringing in recreation. So the Forest Service gave 88.9 acres to the city of Denver right at the base of the Moffett Tunnel.
Right.
And that's how Denver got to own this land at the base, by trading that. So Cramner really was able to get things done.
Right, right. Yeah. We're going to pause quick. We've got a ton more to talk about, including the trail names and your book, but we are going to go take a break and check out the weather.